Heaven exists everywhere and all the time. Heaven is inside of you and you have access to it at all times. Heaven is consciousness unhindered by thoughts. Heaven is your higher self. And there's nothing that you have to do in order to attain this state, to make contact with your higher self. The sun is always shining, and the intensity is always full blast. There's nothing you need to do to make the sun shine. There's nothing you need to do to make source shine. However, what you call yourself, your egoic identity, the person that you are, occurs or comes into existence like putting an object in front of the sun and casting a shadow. The body that you inhabit is that thing, and the shadow is your ego, your sense of self. You exist as a byproduct of the physicality of your existence. And you have identified yourself not even necessarily with the body that is casting the shadow, but with the shadow that is cast. You identify yourself with the things that you have, the things that you want, the things that you fear, the things that you remember, the things that you hope for. And you have made this shadow realm, this literal shadow realm that is untangible. You have made that who you are. And you live in this shadow realm, unaware of the fact that there is a massive sun. And massive isn't even the word for it, because massive implies that there is a size to it. There's an infinite sun beaming down at you. Your entire world is made up of the light of the sun. And you could live like that. You could live in that contact. If only you would unobscure the sun. Heaven is consciousness, unobscured by thoughts. Okay, so let's just answer, because this video is actually part of a series on the higher self. What is the higher self? Contacting the higher self, working with the higher self. And by working with the higher self, that's not only finding guidance and inspiration, but help manifesting healings, miracles from the higher self. First, we need to understand what the higher self is. The higher self is the pure, unhindered you. So it is who you were before you decided to play this temporary role of a human being. And I know that the human being is what we put all of our focus on in daily life. So it's really, really tempting to believe that that is who you are. It takes a lot of awareness to stop saying your name when somebody says, "Who are you?" Because you believe that that name is who you are. But in truth, if you really contemplate this, if you sit in meditation and feel the vastness of your being, the boundlessness of your being, the eternalness of your being, eventually you will not restrict your identity by saying, "I am anything." You would just simply say, "I am." You exist. You are existence. A simpler way of saying that is you're a spirit. I think everybody can sort of visualize, I'm a spirit. I came to this world for an existence, but I'm a spirit. Most people say I have a spirit, but I want you to try to think in terms of I am a spirit, okay? And the spirit, to use the metaphor of an iceberg, popped up into the world of the water, and the little tiny bit of at the top of the iceberg that's popping out of the water is what you call yourself, your human beingness. But the vastness underneath that, the spirit that exists in the spirit world, but is also one with your body, using the metaphor of the iceberg, there are not two icebergs, there's one iceberg. So the rest of your being exists in the spirit world. The spirit world is where there is no time. So there's past and future and present all at once. The spirit world is where there is no space. So there's no here and there's no there. And the spirit world is where there is no separation. So there isn't me and other things. So the vast majority of your spirit lives in a way where all things exist now, all things exist here, and all things is I am. Rewind that little piece and listen to it as many times as you need to fathom what 99% of your being is. The spirit part of your being, the massive iceberg underneath the waterline, exists in what you would call the place of miracles. Or, to use a popular recent film, it exists with, what is it? Everything, everywhere, all at once. The multiverse, the center of the multiverse, that state where there isn't multiple universes over there, there's just all the universes here. That state is the state of the higher self. So that is the technical description of the higher self. The simple truth, a beautiful way it's described biblically, it's called the Holy Spirit. It doesn't really matter what words you call it, but I like the visual of there's this kind of spirit thing that dwells inside of me that is holy. That's fine. It's the words are not 100% accurate because it's actually you dwell within the spirit, but that's fine. It's a spirit aspect of yourself, and it is with you always. The thing you have to know about spirit is that there is no where that spirit is or when that spirit is. Spirit is everywhere. Spirit is everything, and spirit is always. So your spirit, your Holy Spirit, your higher self, is so close to you that there is no separation. And the power of this is that if there is no separation, then there's nothing that needs to be done to contact your higher self. There's nothing that needs to be done to contact the divine, eternal, powerful, all-capable, boundless being that is your spirit. The higher self within you that is guiding you. There's nothing to be done. So, okay, if there's nothing to be done, then how do we contact this higher self? Go back to the metaphor of the sun. There's nothing that you need to do to contact the sun. The only thing that is preventing you from feeling the full blast of the sun is the thing that is standing in front of the sun, casting a shadow and creating a shadow realm, which is where you live. So what is it that stands in front of spirit? Metaphors here, people. If you go 100% literal, the metaphor falls apart. The only thing that stands in front of spirit is the only thing that really exists separate, let's say separate from spirit, and what that is thought. So you imagine a candle. I thought about how I could illustrate this for you guys. Maybe one day I'll actually do a little scene with a candle. Imagine a candle, and you put your hand in front of the candle. The candle, the light of the candle shining on your hand will cast a shadow, right? In the same way, consciousness, you put a thought, the thought will create whatever it is the thought is, right? Have you ever looked at a candle, really looked at a candle, and seen the shadow that is cast by it? The flame of the candle does not cast a shadow. because it is the source of the light. Anyhow, so the thought that comes in front of consciousness is the thought, it is the problem. You, the place from which you perceive right now, you have fallen asleep, you forgot you're asleep, you're dreaming, you think that you're the human being. You, the human being, is trying to contact spirit. And every time you look around, all you can see are your thoughts, your sense of self, your worries, your concerns, your memories, and your fears. And when you are seeing those thoughts, you're on the dark side of the thought, and consciousness is being obscured. So the only thing that needs to be done to contact spirit is to stop that stream of thinking or that train of thought. That's it. It's as simple as that. Throughout history and around the world, there has been millions of ways developed to do this. Some cultures will, we all recognize that there is the mind. In the yogic tradition, it's referred to as the monkey mind. It's a monkey that won't stop talking. So there's a story or metaphor, I'm not really sure where it's from, probably from the Vedas, that, was it a sage or a king or something, gave a monkey as a gift to a young man and said, this monkey will do anything that you want. Here you go, enjoy the gift. So, the man said, hey monkey, go get me some water, and he did. And like, hey monkey, go get me some food, and he did. But then the man lay down to relax, and the monkey went and brought 100 cups of water and 100 plates of food, and the monkey ran around everywhere, and the monkey started talking, and the monkey didn't want to stop. And the man went back to the king, whoever it was, who gave him the monkey, and said, your gift sucks. Make it stop. Make it stop. This monkey will not stop. And the king said, oh yeah, the monkey will give you anything you want, but he does not stop. He listens to your orders. He follows your instructions nonstop. So the man was like, well, how can I possibly live with this? This is a terrible, terrible burden. How can I live with this? And the king said, maybe I prefer if it's the sage. The sage said, you have to keep the monkey occupied. If he is not occupied, he will cause trouble. So what you have to do is give him something to do at all times. So the man figured out the secret. He went back home with his monkey. He said, give me a glass of water. He got it. Give me a plate of food. He got it. And then when he was ready to relax, when he wanted some peace and quiet, he said, monkey, there is a tree here. Climb up to the top of the tree, and when you're done, climb back down to the bottom, and when you're done, climb back up to the top. And the monkey did that dutifully, faithfully. And then up and then down, and then up and then down, and then up and then down, and then up and then down. And while he was doing that, he didn't cause any trouble, he didn't make any noise, and he didn't bring the guy 100 glasses of water and 100 plates of food. And the guy was able to relax. So, of course, this is not a story about animal cruelty, this is a metaphor. And the monkey represents the mind, the monkey mind. You're given a powerful tool, but if you do not use it and occupy it, it will cause trouble. If you do not use it consciously. Mind, I want you to drive me to work. Mind, I want you to pay my taxes. I want you to calculate something. I want you to plan something. I want you to cook something. The mind can figure things out and do things for you. But when it's not doing that, the mind is causing trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. It is repeating thoughts of the past and thoughts of the future. And it is occupying your attention and taking your awareness away from spirit. And the only solution is to occupy the mind. So the metaphor of the monkey going up and down, up and down, is from the yogic tradition of a mantra. It is the saying and repeating of a mantra over and over and over, so that the mind does in fact have something to be occupied with, but doesn't get distracted by different thoughts. It has the same words over and over and over, the same words over and over and over. until eventually your mind gets sleepy, it gets tired, and it goes to sleep. It gives up. It says, ugh, this is boring. And it steps aside. If you've ever experienced it, it feels like a little slide. Like it just slides to the side and something else comes out. Something else chooses your thoughts. Something else speaks. Something else experiences life. That is the higher self. So, of course, mantra is one of the ways that people have disciplined the mind. I wasn't raised Catholic, but I assume that the rosary has a similar effect. Anything that's repetitive, every culture in the world has prayer beads. But there's other things too. There's focusing. You focus the mind on anything, and you force the mind to only pay attention to that, and the mind slips out of the way of the distractor. So you can focus on the breath. The breath is particularly powerful because the breath is controlled by your spirit. So it is shifting your attention from the mind to the spirit. You can focus on a candle or a flame. Fire is also powerful because it is an opening. It is a direct window to the spirit world, and fire holds your consciousness in a certain space, and it anchors the mind and prevents the mind from going crazy, which is why a lot of tribal, indigenous, traditional cultures will have a sacred fire at any event where presence, spirit, and ancestors are needed. It's why so many cultures pray with a candle. So sitting and looking at a candle, sitting at a fire, praying over a fire is another way to soothe the mind, calm the mind, and get it to slide out of the way and allow the higher self to appear. There's so many other ways. Music, drumming, chanting, kirtan, they all achieve the same thing. They occupy the mind in a repetitive way, causes the mind to slip away. In the modern world, there's versions of this we call hypnosis. So a trained hypnotherapist knows how to get your mind almost distracted, to sit in a corner with a little toy and play while the higher self speaks. The first time I experienced my higher self was through this method, and I did this through a QHHT session, quantum healing hypnotherapy, which Dolores Cannon pioneered. There are lots of practitioners out there, and you can either learn to do it yourself or you can go to a practitioner who will take you through it. What else? There's so many things. Induced boredom, anything, even suffering. There are so many people who in slavery or concentration camps or whatever that's happening to them, the pain is so much that the mind stops and the spirit comes through. These things do happen. It happens during pain, illness, injury, death. So these are ways to the simple answer to the question, how do you contact this higher self? The higher self is always there. The only time you're not aware of the higher self is if the higher self is obscured by thought. So all methods, including plant medicines, all methods that still the mind or distract the mind and allow the background subtle voice that is always there of the spirit to become a little louder, all those are methods. But the truth is that you don't absolutely need anything. These sort of long involved processes are for the first time, the 10th time, maybe the 100th time that you allow the ego to step aside and allow the higher self to express itself. After a while, when you understand that feeling of sliding where the egoic mind slides up to the side and the light shines brighter, when that feeling becomes familiar to you, it is a feeling that you can achieve anytime you want. You can achieve it with one breath. That's why sometimes I encourage people, if you saw the Pain Body series, I say before you respond to anything in life, take one conscious breath. That conscious breath gives that spirit the opportunity to arise and speak before the ego speaks. One conscious breath, if you are very committed to it, one conscious breath is all it takes to allow spirit to speak in your life. So this was just I hope a useful explanation of what the higher self is, and a quick look at how to the methods that are used to contact the higher self. I'm gonna do one or two more videos on this, and I'm gonna really give you advice, meditations, visualizations, exercises to contact the higher self. And I'm also going to explain to you how working with the higher self works. How do you heal yourself? How do you manifest things into your life? How do you get answers to as to what causes things in your life? So therapy, basically. So what happens during quantum healing and hypnosis therapy? What is it that happens when you do shadow work? What do these plant medicines or ceremonies do when you say that I am going through a ritual to set the mind aside and bring up the spirit and allow the spirit to heal the past and create the future? What exactly is it that happens, and how can we do this at will? So that's going to be the next couple of videos. Thank you for watching and have a lovely day. I look forward to seeing you again soon.